cage, and you are the bird trapped inside, endlessly flapping your wings against invisible bars. Overthinking is one of the quietest forms of suffering. It rarely leaves visible scars, yet it exhausts the mind, drains our energy, and keeps us from living fully in the present moment. In Buddhism, the restless mind is often compared to a monkey, always jumping from branch to branch, grabbing one thought, then another, never still, never satisfied. If you are constantly caught in the cycle of replaying the past, worrying about the future, or analyzing every little detail of life, then you may already know how tiring this monkey mind can be. But here's the good news. Buddhism does not ask us to fight against thoughts or forcefully silence the mind. Instead, it offers a path of gentle awareness, compassion, and letting go. In this video, we will explore the 6 clear signs that reveal when overthinking has taken control of your life. More importantly, we will also learn the Buddhist teachings and practices that can free you from this endless cycle. By the end of this journey, you will not only recognize the patterns of overthinking within yourself, but you will also hold in your heart simple, timeless methods to bring peace back into your mind. You will understand how to turn the restless monkey into a calm companion, one that serves you instead of one that controls you. 1. You replay the past too much. One of the most common signs of overthinking is the tendency to replay the past again and again. Perhaps it is a conversation where you said the wrong words, a mistake you made at work, or even a relationship you feel you should have handled differently. These memories become like old films that the mind insists on playing, each time hoping for a different ending that never comes. In Buddhism, this is understood through the teaching of anicca, or impermanence. Everything in life is in constant motion, changing, dissolving, and transforming. The past, no matter how vivid it may feel in your memory, is gone. It is like water that has already flowed down the river. No effort of ours can make it return. Yet, when we overthink, we resist this truth. We cling to what has already passed, and in doing so, we create suffering for ourselves. The Buddha gave us a practical solution to this: mindfulness. When a memory arises, the goal is not to suppress it, but to notice it with awareness. You might simply acknowledge, this is a memory. This belongs to the past. Then gently bring yourself back to the present moment, perhaps through the rhythm of your breathing. In meditation practice, many people find that past thoughts surface again and again. This is natural. The practice is not to push them away, but to recognize them as passing clouds in the sky of your mind. When you learn to witness them without attachment, their grip loosens. Over time, this gentle awareness brings peace. You begin to realize that the past does not define you. What matters is how you choose to live right now, in this breath, in this moment. 2. You fear the future excessively. The second sign of overthinking is living in fear of the future. This is the mind that constantly asks, what if? What if I fail? What if they don't like me? What if things go wrong? These questions spiral endlessly, filling us with anxiety about events that have not even occurred. The Buddha taught that the future is unborn. It does not exist yet, and it may never unfold in the way we imagine. Worrying about it is like carrying an extra burden that is not even real. It is as though we walk through life not only carrying the weight of the present moment, but also the weight of 100 possible futures. No wonder we feel so exhausted. The path out of this cycle is once again found in mindfulness, but also in trust. Trust in the Dharma, the natural flow of life. When we cling to control and demand certainty, our minds become restless. But when we allow things to unfold naturally, with awareness and compassion, the future loses its power to terrify us. One practice the Buddha suggested is mindfulness of breathing. Whenever fear of the future arises, simply return to the breath. Feel the inhale, the exhale. Each breath is a reminder that life is happening here now, not in some imagined future. Another practice is cultivating gratitude. By noticing what is already present, you train the mind to rest in contentment rather than chase the endless what-ifs. When you learn to live in the present moment, fear of the future fades. The mind discovers that the only place life is truly lived is here, in this unfolding moment, breath by breath. 3. You struggle to make decisions. The third sign of overthinking is the struggle to make decisions. Have you ever stood before two simple choices? Perhaps what meal to order, or whether to say yes or no to an invitation, and felt as though the weight of the entire world rested on your decision. Overthinking magnifies even the smallest choices into heavy burdens. At the root of this struggle is often fear. Fear of making the wrong choice, fear of missing out, fear of judgment. Buddhism describes this as attachment. Attachment to the idea of a perfect outcome. Attachment to the illusion that if we just think long enough, we can avoid all mistakes. But the truth is, no choice in life is without risk, and no decision is guaranteed to bring only joy or only sorrow. Life unfolds in ways we cannot always predict. The Buddha once said, "Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace." In decision-making, this wisdom reminds us, clarity is not found in endless thinking, but in simplicity. One of the teachings of the Noble Eightfold Path is right effort. This does not mean obsessively analyzing every detail, but making decisions with a wholesome intention. When we approach choices with clarity, honesty, and compassion, we are already aligned with the Dharma. The outcome, whatever it may be, becomes part of our path of growth. Let us consider a story. A monk once stood at a fork in the road, unsure of which path to take to reach a distant village. He hesitated, overthinking, fearing one path might be longer or more difficult or perhaps even dangerous. His teacher, noticing his hesitation, said gently, "Whichever path you walk, walk it fully. Whichever step you take it with mindfulness." The monk realized the lesson was not in choosing the perfect path, but in walking with awareness. When you feel paralyzed by decision-making, pause and ask yourself, what is my true intention? Am I guided by fear or by compassion? Once you have clarity on intention, take the step. Even if mistakes happen, they are not failures, they are teachers. Every choice, even those that do not unfold as we hoped, brings wisdom and experience. In meditation practice, you may notice the same struggle. The mind asks, should I focus on the breath or the body or loving kindness? The practice is not about choosing perfectly, but about simply beginning and continuing with gentle persistence. Over time, decision-making becomes lighter. You understand that life is not a puzzle to be solved, but a path to be walked. When guided by mindfulness and compassion, even imperfect decisions lead to peace. 4. You seek endless control. The fourth sign of overthinking is the craving for control. Overthinkers often feel the need to predict every outcome, manage every possibility, and shape every situation to their liking. This endless pursuit of control is exhausting because life is vast, complex, and ever-changing. Buddhism teaches us the truth of anatta, or non-self. This teaching reminds us that we are not separate masters of the universe, but part of an interconnected web of life. The rain falls, the seasons change, the body ages, people come and go. So much of life is beyond our grasp. To cling to the illusion of control is to fight against the very nature of existence. The Buddha illustrated this truth in many ways. One simple teaching is this: just as a tree grows without your command, so too does life unfold without your control. This does not mean we are powerless. It means our role is not to control every outcome, but to live with wisdom and harmony amidst the flow of change. Let us reflect on the story of a farmer. This farmer worked tirelessly, worrying constantly about the rain. He feared the clouds would bring too much water or not enough. He watched the sky with anxious eyes, overthinking what he could not change. Eventually, a wise monk told him, "Farmer, your work is to plant the seeds, to tend the soil, to care for the field. The rain will come as it comes. If you worry about the clouds, you will suffer twice, once from the sky and once from your mind." This story illustrates a powerful truth. We must distinguish between what is within our influence and what is not. Overthinking arises when we confuse the two. We try to control the uncontrollable, and in doing so, we rob ourselves of peace. Buddhist practice offers us tools to release this craving for control. One such practice is letting go during meditation. As thoughts arise, instead of grasping or fighting them, we simply acknowledge and release. This simple act trains the mind in acceptance. Another practice is contemplation on impermanence. By reflecting that all things change, our bodies, our relationships, even our thoughts, we soften our grip on control and allow life to flow more naturally. When you find yourself caught in the need to control, pause and ask, what is truly within my care? Often, it is only your own actions, your own speech, your own thoughts. Beyond that, much of life is like the rain and the seasons. It moves according to its own rhythm. By releasing the burden of control, you discover freedom. Life no longer feels like a battlefield where you must fight every outcome, but like a river where you learn to flow gracefully with the current. And in this flowing, peace arises, not because the world obeys your will, but because you have learned to live in harmony with the world as it is. 5. You feel mentally exhausted. The fifth sign of overthinking is a constant sense of mental exhaustion. Even when nothing difficult has happened in the outside world, the inside world feels heavy, like carrying an invisible burden that never leaves your shoulders. You may notice yourself lying down to rest, but even in bed, your thoughts keep racing, replaying conversations, imagining scenarios, solving problems that may not even exist. The body is still, but the mind continues to run. Buddhism describes this state as a mind on fire. In the Aditta Pariyaya Sutta, known as the Fire Sermon, The Buddha spoke of the senses as burning, burning with desire, burning with aversion, burning with delusion. Overthinking is another form of this burning. It consumes the energy of the mind until we feel completely drained. The good news is that the Buddha also gave us a way to cool this fire, to bring relief to the restless mind. This path begins with meditation. In meditation, we practice returning again and again to the present moment, often using the breath as our anchor. Each time the mind wanders, we gently guide it back, not with frustration, but with patience, the way a parent guides a child by the hand. At first, meditation may seem difficult for someone who overthinks. The thoughts may come even faster, and you might feel discouraged. But the Buddha compared the mind to a jar of muddy water. If you keep shaking it, the water remains cloudy. But if you place the jar on the ground and allow it to rest, the mud gradually settles and the water becomes clear. Meditation is that resting. With time, the storm of thoughts begins to calm on its own. In daily life, mental exhaustion from overthinking can also be eased by moments of mindfulness. For example, when you eat, try to eat fully, without a phone, without rushing, simply tasting each bite. When you walk, notice the movement of your feet, the contact with the ground. These small acts of presence are like drops of cool water poured onto the fire of the mind. Another powerful tool is compassion. Compassion not only for others, but for yourself. Overthinkers often judge themselves harshly for being tired, telling themselves, "Why can't I focus? Why can't I be stronger?" But the Buddhist path is not about punishment. It is about kindness. If you are tired, let yourself rest. If your mind is busy, treat it with gentleness, not anger. One beautiful practice is metta meditation, or loving kindness meditation. When the mind is restless, repeat softly, "May I be peaceful. May I be at ease. May I be free from this suffering." These words are not magic, but they slowly retrain the mind to move from self-criticism to self-care. Mental exhaustion is not a sign of weakness. It is a signal. It is your mind's way of saying, "I need rest. I need stillness." When you honor this signal and turn toward practices of mindfulness and compassion, the exhaustion lifts, replaced by clarity and peace.
गंदा पानी पीते हो, मेरा मतलब है इस कैन से, तो भाई रिप्लेस करो इसे विथ लिव प्योर स्मार्ट आरओ जो रेंट पर मिलता है.
Exhaustion lifts, replaced by clarity and peace. 6. You judge yourself harshly. The sixth and final sign of overthinking is being your own harshest critic. For many people, the loudest voice of judgment does not come from others, but from within. It is the inner voice that says, "You're not good enough. You always make mistakes. You should have done better." In Buddhism, this habit of self-judgment is understood as a form of craving and aversion combined. We crave perfection, and when we fall short of it, as we inevitably do, we feel aversion toward ourselves. This cycle keeps the mind trapped in suffering. The Buddha offered an antidote: metta, or loving kindness. Loving kindness begins with the recognition that just as all beings deserve happiness and peace, so do you. In the Metta Sutta, the Buddha encouraged us to radiate kindness to all beings, as a mother protects her only child. This protection, this care, must also include ourselves. Consider this. When a close friend makes a mistake, you may comfort them, remind them that everyone errs, and encourage them gently. But when you make the same mistake, you may scold yourself, replaying the error in your mind over and over. Why do we treat ourselves with less kindness than we would treat a friend? Overthinking thrives on this inner criticism. The more you judge yourself, the more you replay events, trying to fix them in your mind. The more you replay them, the harsher your judgment becomes. It is a cycle without end, unless we bring compassion into it. One way to break this cycle is through the daily practice of loving kindness meditation. Begin with yourself. Close your eyes, take a gentle breath, and repeat silently, "May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. May I live with ease." At first, this may feel uncomfortable, especially if you are used to being critical of yourself. But with practice, the words begin to soften the heart. Another practice is reflection on the nature of humanity. The Buddha taught that suffering is universal. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone feels regret. Everyone falls short of their own ideals. When you realize you are not alone in this, the sharpness of self-judgment softens. You begin to see yourself not as a failure, but as a human being walking the same path as countless others. There is also wisdom in remembering karma. In Buddhism, karma is not punishment, but cause and effect. Every thought, word, and action plants a seed. Self-judgment plants seeds of suffering. Loving kindness plants seeds of peace. When you choose to treat yourself with compassion, you are shaping a more peaceful future. A story is told of a monk who, during meditation, was constantly disturbed by critical thoughts. He went to his teacher and said, "I cannot meditate. My mind attacks me with harsh words." The teacher smiled gently and said, "When a child cries, do you shout at it? Or do you hold it until it calms? Your mind is like that child. Hold it with kindness. Judging yourself harshly will never lead to peace. Overthinking will never be solved by more thinking." The path of Buddhism invites us to step outside of this cycle, to replace judgment with compassion, to see ourselves as worthy of the same kindness we wish to give to the world. When you begin to treat yourself with love, overthinking loses one of its strongest fuels. The mind no longer needs to replay every mistake, because it knows mistakes are not the end. They are simply stepping stones on the path. As you see, overthinking can make life feel narrow, as if you were walking through a corridor with walls closing in. The Buddha's path widens that corridor into open space. You have seen the signs, replaying the past, fearing the future, difficulty choosing, craving control, mental fatigue, and harsh self-judgment. And you have received the antidotes: mindful breathing, presence in simple acts, wise intention, acceptance of impermanence, care for the sense doors, loving kindness, and equanimity. Carry these with you in ordinary moments. One breath before speaking, one pause before reacting, one kind phrase whispered to the heart. Peace does not arrive all at once. It arrives in small, consistent steps. With each step, the mind grows quieter, the body softens, and the heart remembers its natural ease. If this reflection has brought you peace, I invite you to subscribe and join this community of mindful seekers. Together, we can walk the path of wisdom, compassion, and calm awareness. May your practice be steady. May your path be gentle. May you dwell in the freedom of this very moment.